Thanks so much for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham.
And I'm Charlene Israel. The trial for the suspected Fort Hood shooter is underway. Major Nidal Hasan is defending his actions, saying he did it for Islam. And some of the victims are now suing the U.S. government. They say the military's political correctness allowed the massacre to happen. Witnesses say Army psychiatrist Nidal Hasan opened fire at Fort Hood nearly 4 years ago. He's accused of killing 13 people and wounding more than 30 others. Now on trial, he denies none of that. In a brief opening statement Monday, he said, quote, "The evidence will clearly show that I am the shooter." Hasan called himself a mujahideen, or a Muslim holy warrior.
He further stated he realized during the war that he eventually found himself on the wrong side and switched sides, considering himself a mujahideen.
He then told the jury, quote, "We mujahideens are imperfect Muslims trying to establish a perfect religion. I apologize for any mistakes that I made in this endeavor."
This is just cold-blooded massacre. And if you believe in capital punishment and you don't vote for the death penalty in this case, then I don't know what case you would vote for it.
Meanwhile, as Hasan proudly admits to carrying out the attack, survivors of the massacre remain furious. A group of 148 victims and their families are suing the U.S. government for essentially allowing the attack to happen. Their lawyer told British newspaper The Sunday Telegraph, quote, "Because of where he came from and how he prayed to his God, they promoted him and set him loose and ignored his very open, very obvious jihadism." 2 years before the attack, Hasan told a crowd of medical college students that the U.S. was waging war on Islam. In another incident, the FBI spotted email exchanges between Hasan and top al-Qaeda terrorist Anwar al-Awlaki. Still, Hasan was left untroubled by military authorities. The victims say it's time for the military to meet its responsibilities to those harmed by its negligence. Although Hasan could face the death penalty if convicted, the military has not executed an active duty U.S. serviceman since 1961.
The Justice Department has filed criminal charges in the deadly terror attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi last year. 4 Americans, including Ambassador Chris Stevens, died on September 11, 2012. The criminal complaint lists an unspecified number of suspects. One official told the Associated Press it includes Ahmed Abu Khattala, the head of a Libyan militia group, who admits being at the compound that night. Republican Congressman Darrell Issa says criminal charges are not enough and the attacker should be apprehended immediately. A U.S. drone strike has killed another 7 alleged al-Qaeda terrorists in Yemen today. The suspected drone attack is the 5th in Yemen in less than 2 weeks. Tuesday, the U.S. and Britain evacuated embassy staff due to a threatened terror attack in the country. The U.S. has temporarily shut down 19 embassies across the Middle East and Africa. A senior U.S. official says they're responding after al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri called for a big attack with strategic significance. A massive fire shut down East Africa's largest airport in Nairobi, Kenya, forcing planes to divert to other cities. The fire destroyed the international arrivals hall where passengers passed through to retrieve their luggage. No injuries were reported. The cause is still unclear, but the fire broke out on the 15th anniversary of the deadly terrorist attack on the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. More than 200 people were killed in those attacks by al-Qaeda, including 12 Americans. Officials say there were no immediate signs today's fire was connected to terrorism. Imagine what would happen if you were caught sleeping on the job or not reporting to work or just simply being negligent about your work. Well, this is all happening at an alarming rate at airports across the country with the TSA, the people responsible for your safety. David Brody has the story.
Ever since the TSA was created after 9/11, it's had its fair share of PR problems, from patting down crying 3-year-olds in wheelchairs to distraught passengers claiming sexual harassment. And now, more problems. A new government report details poor work habits, including sleeping on the job, not reporting for work, and stealing people's bags. The misconduct involving TSA employees has increased 26% in the last 3 years. And in hearings this week, Congress was demanding answers.
TSA should have no tolerance for such behavior. The American people demand accountability.
One TSA agent was suspended after trying to carry a relative's bag through security without screening it. Inside, plenty of items that were not allowed.
Somebody bypasses the screening process, somebody takes a bag around a checkpoint, that's a serious offense. That stuff needs to be immediately corrected.
And yet the report shows that just 17% of the agents reported for misconduct are being fired. Nearly half, 47%, are only given a letter of reprimand. Congressmen say punishments have to be stricter, but TSA officials are pushing back.
A letter of reprimand means that you're not going to get a bonus that year, possibly. You're not going to get promoted. It's going to stay in your jacket. It's a serious thing, sir.
The TSA problems and its size have been growing for years. It's run by the Department of Homeland Security. And when it started 10 years ago in 2002, it had 16,000 employees and a budget of around $1 billion. Now, the TSA has close to 60,000 employees, and the budget is at almost $8 billion. James Carafano of the Heritage Foundation doesn't believe that's taxpayer money well spent.
We built this massive, huge, expensive bureaucracy post 9/11 because people wanted government security guys, when the reality is just a well-supervised security workforce in the private sector could do just as good a job.
Despite its growing size, supporters of TSA say it's trying its best to protect America from terrorist attacks. And they point to how they've gotten rid of those controversial scanners that took nude X-ray pictures of travelers. They now say they have devices that show a less intrusive image. But critics like Carafano say all the complaints are secondary to a larger issue. Should a government bureaucracy be handling these security issues?
I'm sure that a majority of the people working at TSA care about their country and want to do the right thing. But the reality is they don't need to be government employees.
But the government-run TSA seems here to stay, and that means more controversy could well be on the way. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Government agencies are clamoring to get their hands on all the info the National Security Agency has been collecting in its massive electronic surveillance program. A former senior intelligence official tells the New York Times the NSA usually turns down requests from the DEA, Secret Service, and Homeland Security. He says NSA officials worry those agencies could abuse the information. He admits the NSA spying has been bad, but says it could have been much worse if it had shared the information.
A key security function in Obamacare is months behind schedule, even though the health care law kicks in less than 2 months from now. When Americans begin enrolling in health insurance exchanges October 1st, their identity, income, and other sensitive information will be funneled through a federal data hub. Reuters reports the safety of this technology has not been tested properly because of many missed deadlines. Tests to certify the security of the system have been pushed back to September 30th, just 1 day before enrollment begins. And an unsafe system could open to many to fraud and identity theft.
The State Department is seeking to engage with faith communities across the globe in its efforts to promote U.S. foreign policy. Secretary of State John Kerry is launching the new Office of Faith-Based Community Initiatives today. Sean Casey, a professor of Christian ethics at Wesley Theological Seminary, will head the office and serve as special advisor on religious issues. The state says the new office will work with faith communities on development objectives such as fighting poverty and promoting international religious freedom.
Former President George W. Bush is expected to leave a Dallas hospital today after a successful heart procedure. Doctors placed a stent in his heart after discovering a blockage in an artery during his annual physical. A stent is a mesh scaffolding that props open arteries that are clogged by years of plaque buildup. About 500,000 Americans have them inserted each year. Mr. Bush is said to be in good spirits and is expected to resume his normal schedule later this week.
Coming up, he had a monumental impact on the world's biggest country, but you've probably never even heard of him. We celebrate a hero of the underground church.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? And this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
You may not know the name Samuel Lamb, but he was a hero of the Christian faith for millions of believers inside and outside of China. He passed away last weekend at the age of 88. Lamb was arrested for his Christian faith during one of the first waves of persecution in Mao's China in the 1950s. He spent 20 years in Chinese labor camps. After his release, Lamb formed a house church and became one of the most influential leaders of China's underground church movement. One of his favorite themes was what he called the holy principle of more persecution, more growth.
And joining us now is CBN international correspondent Gary Lane. He's made many trips to China and met Samuel Lamb. Gary, how big of a role did he play in the growth of those China's house churches?
A huge role. He was one of the pioneers of the modern-day house church movement, and he led by example, Ephraim, because he spent 2 years in prison in the early 50s or mid-50s, and then again about 18 years in prison in the late 50s into the late 70s. So he led by example. He suffered in prison, labor camp. I think mining coal is what he did, but he always had a smile on his face.
That smile. He did not see persecution necessarily as a bad thing. Why not?
No, he didn't. And when I met with him, he said, I asked him, I said, Pastor Lamb, what do you think of persecution? He said, well, I'll tell you, Brother Gary. He said, when I first went to prison, we had 200 members in my church. I got out of prison, it grew to 900. He said, and then the church was confiscated by the Chinese authorities. He said it went from 900 to 2,000. Then he got that trademark, that big grin on his face, and he said, persecution good for church.
Wow.
And he really believed that, and he would often talk about Job and how Job suffered, but was always faithful to the Lord.
Well, tell us more about that meeting. I imagine it made a great impact on you.
Oh, you know, I'll never forget it because he was such a kind man, very compassionate man, and you could just see the joy of the Lord on his face. And I said to him, I said, Pastor, many people come to visit you. Thank you for taking time to spend with me. And he said, you know, he said, Dan Rather came here from CBS News and interviewed me. He said, I've had 56 journalists sit here in this seat and interview me. And then all of a sudden he stopped and he got a big smile on his face. He said, you number 57.
Oh, beautiful.
But just a joyous man, just the joy of the Lord, just you'd see it on his face and in his actions.
So beautiful to hear that. Now, he was a true man of God indeed, just listening to you tell those stories. What was the key to his life, you think?
I would say obedience to God. He had much pressure from the Chinese authorities. He would have stayed out of prison if he had just accepted the Three Self-Patriotic Church, be part of the government, the state-sponsored church. But he said, I cannot do that. And he stood firm. And I said, Pastor, why couldn't you do that? He said, because I'm obedient to God. not to the state. If I fall under their authority and become part of their church, then I have to listen to them and do what they want me to do. He said, and they're atheists. He said, I'm obedient to God and I must follow the Lord.
Now, what can leaders of today learn from him?
I think obedience, no matter what the cost. Following Christ is not easy, especially in a place like China, and you have to be willing to pay the price. Are you going to be obedient, or are you going to bow to the pressure of men and the state authorities?
Would love to hear your thoughts on what you think his legacy will be.
Well, I think his legacy will be as one of the modern, the pioneers of the modern-day house church movement. China, you've got 80 to 100 million Christians there today. It's because of the work of men like Samuel Lamb. And a generation, we're losing them now. 5 years ago, Alan Ewan, now Samuel Lamb. But God will raise up others.
Indeed, he will certainly be missed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great insight.
Up next, it's called fly ash, and it floats in the air. What exactly is it, and is it a public health threat?
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
When you burn coal at a power plant, it produces a byproduct, and it's known as fly ash.
That's right, and many times the waste isn't properly stored, and it can actually get into the surrounding area. As Mark Martin found out, that can lead to serious health concerns.
December 22nd, 2008. The Tennessee Valley Authority's Kingston Fossil Plant suffers a major fly ash spill. The waste covered hundreds of acres west of Knoxville, resulting in the evacuation of a nearby residential area. It also damaged a natural gas line, disrupted power and transportation. In the aftermath, TVA ended up buying all 180 properties and 150 houses affected by the spill and recovery effort. Construction workers haul off the last remaining piles of fly ash from the 2008 spill. At that time, an earthen dike failed, releasing an estimated 5.4 million cubic yards of fly ash into 300 acres surrounding the Kingston Fossil Plant. The land received a big-time makeover. But what about the effects of the fly ash on the health of people and the environment? According to the TVA, it's not a problem.
We look to independent studies. They have determined in thousands and thousands of samples and in 2 studies that are public that there is no harm to human health as a result of the elements that are in coal ash. But I understand that people are worried and perhaps there's other issues and they need to check with their physician.
Tell that to worried residents living near fly ash impoundments in Pennsylvania. Sonny Markish lives in Laybell. The view from his yard is a massive dump site complete with the rumble of large trucks hauling the ash. He He showed CBN News a substance around his property that he says has been tested and proven to be fly ash.
This is in the back of the house, and you can see it's all over everywhere.
Sonny says he and his wife have battled cancer, and he has asthma.
I certainly don't believe that it is helping me, especially like when I come out here, my eyes begin to water. I can taste foul things, and I see dust that is coming from the dump up there.
The primary concern for residents of Laybell, Pennsylvania is what's called fugitive dust. They say because the fly ash is not contained properly, the wind blows it into their communities, coating their properties and affecting their health. Sonny's neighbors, Emma and Rudy Smith, tell CBN News they are both on kidney dialysis.
It ate the roof off of my home. So if it did that, what is it doing to the insides of my body? You know, breathing, I'm coughing, my eyes burn, I can't go outside and sit.
Emma's husband Rudy believes fly ash is at least partly to blame for the death of his friend, who was only 56 years old.
I want this community to be cleaned up. I'm tired of seeing my friends in this community died. My friend I used to work at the coal mine with, Mike Crosney, he died from cancer and the sinuses.
The nation's largest coal ash impoundment is about an hour and a half north of Laybell. Despite its massive size, it's known as Little Blue Run and sits on the Pennsylvania-West Virginia border. The fly ash is stored in this large body of water, and like the residents in Laybell, homeowners here say health issues are prevalent. Sabrina Mislevy tells CBN News she knows a lot of people who are sick, and she blames fly ash.
I'd say about 83 for sure. And I believe it's due, and it's all health problems, whether it's cancer or it's lung, simple sinus issues, asthma, which is lung, skin rashes that are just appear for no reason.
Marcy Hughes lives near Little Blue Run. Doctors diagnosed her daughter with Hodgkin's disease, a cancer of the lymphatic system. Marcy believes fly ash is connected.
When we went to a physician in Pittsburgh, he asked us point blank, what were we doing in Beaver County? Because at the same time she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's, there were several other.
A September 2010 report by Physicians for Social Responsibility and Earth Justice states, quote, coal ash commonly contains some of the world's deadliest toxic metals: arsenic, lead, mercury, cadmium, chromium, and selenium. These and other toxicants in coal ash can cause cancer and neurological damage in humans. The report goes on to say coal ash toxics have the potential to injure all of the major organ systems, damage physical health and development, and even contribute to mortality. Lisa Graves Marcusi works for the Environmental Integrity Project. She's an advocate for the people living near Laybell and Little Blue Run.
And as someone who has visited and really spent lots of time with folks in these neighborhoods who are living near these sites, there seems to be a pattern that develops that makes you wonder, is there a correlation between? And I think at this point we don't know, but I think we should be erring on the side of caution and putting in safety mechanisms that really are common sense so that we can protect human health.
Marcusi and others want the EPA to establish federal minimum standards for all 50 states to protect the health of people and the environment, standards that the states would enforce. They include lining fly ash dumps as well as covering them daily, putting tarps over the trucks that haul the ash, full disclosure of pollutants in the ash, rules to control fugitive dust, the phasing out of wet storage ponds like Little Blue Run, and continuous monitoring at the dump sites.
And we need to say that maybe the cost of doing business includes healthy protections for everyone, workers and people who share the fence line.
The Environmental Protection Agency officially considers fly ash non-hazardous waste. Even so, its website acknowledges fly ash contains, quote, contaminants like mercury, cadmium, and arsenic associated with cancer and various other serious health effects. The website goes on to say EPA's risk assessment and damage cases demonstrate that without proper protections, these contaminants can leach into groundwater and often migrate to drinking water sources, posing public significant health concerns. In addition, in a written statement to CBN News, the EPA said fly ash is composed of very small, fine particles, and breathing in fly ash may cause respiratory problems in humans.
It's coming on my property, harming me and my wife, plus my neighbors, plus my dogs. I've lost 4 or 5 dogs to cancer. You know, it's just not right.
Mark Martin, CBN News, Tennessee and Pennsylvania.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
For many, summer is the time to embark on new adventures, some riskier than others.
A Tennessee musician decided on an extreme summer adventure crossing the Florida Straits between Key West and Cuba. While others have attempted the same feat, swimming, 35-year-old Benjamin Freiberg from Chattanooga is the first person to do it standing on a paddleboard. The 100-plus mile trek was no easy feat.
The seas never died down, and especially at night, the seas didn't die down. And there was a ton of chop, and my stomach wouldn't settle. You're trying to manage, certain things, pain, and manage the conditions that you're dealing with. But I think hopefully you can stop and enjoy the beauty of it too.
He was accompanied by a support team on a catamaran that provided navigational advice and nutrition. The extreme sports enthusiast says he did it to promote peace, love, and friendship between the people of Cuba and the United States. Gotta be fit to do that.
People are just, wired a different way. I mean, just to even think of doing something like that is pretty incredible.
I'm wired for sleep.
Me too. And for staying on the land.
You got it.
Well, that's going to do it for the CBN News Channel.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley. Call
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.